Steward Song's fist began to rise. The air fled, sucked dry in a breath. Kael was frozen within a 10-foot chasm of pressure. Ocean, deep abyss, candle shadows writhed. Oil spat against the lampshade, a fierce hiss. Robes cracked flat to his chest and back. The blow had not fallen. Yet its force pressed him down. Beneath his feet, blue bricks split into a silent lace of fractures. Seventh layer gathering cultivation thundered out. Before the fist aura struck, the fist intent slammed, an invisible wall of iron. Folly's cheeks drained to ash. Kael's arms cinched her tight against his side. She could not move. Nearly, its eyes smoldered with venom. His mouth twisted. Beside him, Ione watched, her gaze cloudy and distant. As if she watched a stale play she already knew the ending to. The fist aura carved the air and stopped. Nero's Sonks glimpsed iron, the token, black, cold in candlelight. Its patterns simple, but they seized his pupils, contracting them to points. He wrenched back his strike. Bones in his right arm cracked, a jagged snap. Meridians in the arm recoiled, hammer blow. A mist of blood burst from his sleeve, splattering the table. His face blanched white as death. The force reversed, slamming into his chest. A metallic tang surged up his throat. Blood threaded through his teeth, staining his lips. He swallowed it down. His voice scraped out gravel. Rough, this thing, where did you get it? Kael exhaled, a silent breath. Sweat soaked the token's edges in his palm, but his hand held it steady, not a tremor. Nero Leat still shouted, shrill as a blade. Nero Sonks heard nothing. His seventh layer gathering aura simply evaporated, swallowed by the token's baleful gleam. Ione's heart dropped into her stomach like a cold stone. Then a voice crashed down, insolent wretch. The words told like a great bell slammed between the rafters. Air rippled where the sound swept, eardrums ached. Tables and chairs shuddered. Flames in the hanging oil lamps guttered, almost snuffed. Murong River appeared, abyss, deep aura. His feet unmoving, yet the blue bricks beneath him groaned, dust lifting half an inch. Candlelight within 3 feet of his body warped and dimmed. The hall's very light bowed to him. His face was a mask, his gaze not even dropping to the steward, yet Nero's Sonks's knees smashed the floor tiles. His back arched, a dying bow. Cold sweat drenched him through, as if he had been hauled from water. Murong River's voice was ice. Nero's Sonks, have you forgotten your place? His voice turned colder, each word a brand. As a house dog of my Murong family, yet you dare bite the most honored guest. Tell me, what punishment does that warrant? Silence choked the hall. Breath shrank to shallow drafts. Only the chatter of Nero's, Sonks's teeth, and distant dogs barking in the street. Nero Leat's face was waxen, the venom of moments, before still twisting his features, now laced with terror. Ione's fists clenched her sleeves, fingers ice. Old memories sliced into her face again, knives without mercy. The frost dissolved. Warmth flooded Murong River's face as he turned to Kael. He cupped his hands, voice rich with ceremony. A distinguished guest at my door. Forgive my tardy welcome. Young brother, do not take offense. Folly piped up, her small face utterly serious. Sister Yana Murong is very kind and warm to us, but her strength, she almost slapped young master to pieces. Murong River's eyelid flinched, calling her sister the weight of that token of Murong Yan. He knew it better than anyone. His tone shifted, concerned. Young brother, those injuries you carried the beast riot earlier left their mark. You must rest and recover, lest hidden ailments take root. Behind him, Nero Leat's face flushed crimson, but he ground his teeth, not daring a move. He knew this Murong River cared nothing for his own cousin, the crown prince. Crushing him would be simpler than stepping on an ant. Folly's voice cut, quiet but shattering. This person said our young master is not qualified for a heaven grade room. A chill seeped into Murong River's gaze. He turned, the smile clinging to his lips, not qualified. He swept his hand through the air, his voice booming. Nonsense. Young brother is the Murong family's most honored guest. A heaven grade room, you'll have the celestial chamber if you wish. The hall's clamor died strangled. Murong River's stare swept the crowd, then pinned Nero Leat. His voice dropped, heavy as stone. Nero Leat, you've offended my family's honored guest. I won't bully you with cultivation. Kneel, apologize, the matter ends. Otherwise, no one can save you. Nero Leat's face bleached paper, white, his lips quaking. Lead filled his knees, that gaze bent his spine, inch by inch. His knees slammed the blue bricks, a brutal thud. Dust puffed from the cracks, smearing gray on his robe's hem. Fists clenched, nails gouged his palms. Warm blood threaded through his knuckles, dripping silent. The words grated from between his teeth. Today, I have been most offensive. Kael stood silent, gaze averted. Nero Leat surged to his feet and stormed out without a backward glance, leaving even Ione behind. Ione froze. The ache in her cheek was gone, but every stare was a needle. She drew a ragged breath and turned to leave. Kael's voice, flat and cold. Wait. Her steps died, back rigid. She did not turn. The words came flat, a dull blade scraping her heart. Remember, this is the last time. Next time, do not blame my merciless hand. Jaw locked, she walked stiffly through the crowd's gaps. Each step a knife point. She vanished around the street corner, never looking back. Folly frowned, voice small. Young master, how did Lady Liu become so detestable? Kael shook his head. That is her truest face. Murong River glanced at the corner where Nero's sonks slumped. Young brother, this ungrateful wretch offended you. His fate is yours to decide. Nero's sonks' soul scattered. He scrambled, crawled to Kael's feet, babbling. Young Master Gu, this dog was blind. Spare my worthless life. One word from you, the steward will release me. I will be your ox, your horse. Kael stepped back, evading the grasping hands, face void. Senior, this is a household matter. An outsider should not interfere. Handle it by the Murong family's rules. Murong River gave a soft sigh, then a wave. Two black, robed figures surged forward, hoisting Nero's sonks by the arms. His legs had turned to water, his body sagging, boneless as a shed skin. They dragged him, his soft boots rasped dry over the stone. His eyes yawned hollow. Despair had drained every last spark. Murong River watched him hauled away, then turned to Kael. I thought you would repay malice with kindness. Kael's reply was calm. Others might. I prefer candid retribution. Murong River tasted those words, then laughed. He raised a hand. Come, the celestial chamber has stood empty for years, as if waiting just for you. Kael's heart stirred with anticipation. Senior, what is the celestial chamber's rate? Murong River answered easily. 10 spirit sources a day for lodging. Any other functions cost extra. Kael's steps stuttered. Embarrassment flickered across his features. Senior, the A-class room suits me well enough. Murong River blinked. Why, do you know how many would kill just to step inside? Kael cut him off, voice low, a hand rising to touch his nose tip. I don't have that much money. Folly chimed at once. Yes, yes, my young master is very, very poor. Murong River gaped, then chuckled ruefully. Little brother, you don't think the celestial chamber actually comes with a fee, do you? Kael's eyes blazed. His throat worked. No charge. A laugh erupted, stirring the spiritual energy in the walls to faint vibration. Murong River reined it in, his gaze falling to the dark token in Kael's palm. His voice deepened, laden with meaning. Little brother, you still haven't grasped the weight of that token of Murong Yan. Kael's brows lifted slightly. The token of Murong Yan rested in his hand, heavy and solid. A dim luster swirled over its cold iron surface, flowing in slow spirals. His fingertips brushed the metal, and a near-silent hum reached his ears. Spiritual energy keened toward the token, resonating in spontaneous harmony. A flat voice cut through the air. All lands within the 10 kingdoms are vassal states of the Jade Pinnacle sect. Murong River wasted no words. His tone laid bare the world's structure in a single breath. The founding ancestor of my clan is one of the Jade Pinnacle sect's 3 Grand Supreme Elders. A tremor shot through Kael's heart. He let nothing show. A flicker of reverence passed through Murong River's eyes. Even a master of his caliber seemed careful when speaking of the ancestor. This token is the ancestor's personal creation. Since the founding of our clan, only 8 have ever been bestowed. The one in your hand is the 9th. A wry smile pulled at his lips. Back then, the young mistress hounded the ancestor relentlessly. She nearly yanked out his beard to beg for this one. Kael's grip on the token tightened. A sharp memory surged through him, the searing pain of Yana Murong's palm slamming into his shoulder, her honeyed cry of big sister echoing in his ears. The ache and the endearment tangled together, washing a deeply discomforting warmth through his chest. He understood with absolute clarity. This gift burned the hand that held it. The true purpose of this token is command. Murong River's voice turned solemn. With it in hand, you may mobilize any master of the Murong clan to act on your behalf. Unconditionally, one single time, even if it means marching to their deaths, none will dare refuse. That is the iron law laid down by the ancestor himself. He leaned forward, his gaze sharpening, his voice laced with a seductive edge. So, if you wish to exterminate Nero Lia's entire clan, you need only say the word. Within half a quarter of an hour, the Liu clan's heads can be piled at your feet. Here in the imperial capital, no one can stop me. And no one dares to. A piercing warning flared in Kael's mind. The old fox was trying to use this vendetta to make him burn through that single chance early. He shook, a slow smile spreading across his face. Senior, I'm starting to think repaying malice with kindness isn't so bad after all. Murong River choked back his words, caught between astonishment and bitter amusement. In the end, he said nothing more. He clasped his hands behind his back and stepped aside, thinking to himself, well, the young mistress certainly didn't pick a pushover. At the same moment, in the main hall of the Liu Manor, a voice like cracking stone split the silence. This is outrageous. Liu Quin's face was ashen iron as he glared down at Nero Liat. The young man's eyes blazed blood, red below. Do you understand the weight of the Murong clan? Even His Majesty in the royal palace would think twice before offending them. Whether you can swallow this or not, you will choke it down. Nero Liat trembled from head to toe. Veins bulged across his clenched fists. Liu Quin no longer looked at him. His eyes shifted to Ione, standing dazed and distracted at the side. My dear niece, I've heard the boy also hails from Skyblade City. Ione's body jolted, as if waking from a dream. She lifted her eyes, her voice tightening. That's right, his name is Kael. She told them everything. When Ione had finished her account, the air in the hall turned frigid. So that's how it is. An icy smile cracked across Liu Quin's face, just a country bumpkin who stumbled into a pile of dog shit luck. And here I thought some grand deity was standing behind him. Ha, daring to make my son kneel in the open street. He's plain begging for death. Nero Liat's public humiliation had seared itself onto the Liu clan's honor like a brand of hot iron. Uncle's, Ione's crimson lips parted slightly. A thread of hesitation wove through the shimmer of her gaze. But right now, It doesn't matter. Liu Quin's broad hand swept through the air, his sleeve booming with the motion. Can he hide in that inn for the rest of his life? Didn't you say he's also headed for Valorhall? Unless the Murong clan turns into his shadow and follows his every step, the moment he sets foot inside Valorhall, our opportunities will be everywhere. He rose abruptly, his voice dropped to a heavy register. Enough. For the next few days, you will stay at home and keep company with niece Ione. Everything else waits until the Valorhall gates open. When that day comes, your cousin will enter Valorhall as well. Cousin? Nero Liat jolted, bewilderment flooding his face. But wasn't he already selected as a direct disciple of the Ascendant sect? Why would he need to? No more questions. Liu Quin shook his head, his gaze growing unfathomably deep. He has his own reasons. With him there, grinding that arrogant little insect beneath his heel will be a matter of effortless convenience. His gaze swept once between Nero Liat and Ione. Then he strode away without a backward glance, leaving the space deliberately to the two of them. The moment those footsteps faded, an oppressive, viscous awkwardness settled over the hall. Nero Liat turned, his throat parched as he gazed upon the devastatingly beautiful face inches from his own. His voice caught, stumbling over the words, Ione, my junior sister, what happened today? There's no need for that, my senior brother. Ione suppressed the churning irritation and revulsion in her heart. She forced a thread of gentle warmth onto her face. Everything you've done for me, I hold it here in my memory. It's just that today's accident was too sudden, and it can't be blamed on you. Ione, my junior sister, under the lamplight, the longer he looked, the more his soul was enthralled. Nero Liat's eyes went rigid. Without thinking, he reached out with both hands, grasping for those snow-white, delicate hands. Senior brother, Ione's expression shifted drastically. She recoiled as if dodging a venomous serpent, her brows and eyes now cold with anger. Restrain yourself. A flush of heat rushing to his head, Nero Liat's face swelled to the color of pig's liver. Scolded into a fluster, he flailed his hands and feet. To mask his discomfiture, he suddenly pounded his chest and roared an oath. Ione, my junior sister, be at ease. With my cousin here, the moment that brat dares set foot in Valorhall, I'll make him wish he were dead. The outer city of the imperial capital, a long street stretched in silence. Fatty trudged along, a belly full of grievances stewing. His small, beady eyes furtively scanned his surroundings. He muttered under his breath. A human tribulation, where the hell is my pang, ye's tribulation. Damn it, listening to that old fraud's nonsense nearly got me turned into an appetizer for spirit beasts. His words trailed off as an arrogant exchange drifted into his ears. With your innate talent, young master, entering Valorhall this time will surely let you soar to the heavens in a single bound. Ha, naturally. I've trained bitterly in Yuishan City for years precisely for this day. Fatty's steps halted, his mung, bean-sized eyes rolled craftily. Valorhall, interesting. Since this human tribulation is leading nowhere, might as well go have some fun. He fixed his gaze on that spirited young man's back. A silent chuckle slipped through his lips, then his entire form, like a weightless shadow, silently clung to the figure ahead. Once they reached a secluded spot, Fatty stood with his hands clasped behind his back, the slovenly air around him instantly shed. He stared at the master and servant before him. Within those narrow little eyes, an eerie light suddenly blazed. It was not mere light, it was a bottomless vortex, twisting and spiraling deep within his pupil's soul, snatching. Two tangible beams of that eerie light stabbed straight into the eyes of the young man called He Zheng. He Zheng's gaze froze in an instant. His pupils dilated rapidly, the luster of life drained away like a receding tide, leaving only a wooden vacancy, as if his very soul had been extracted. Beside him, his servant was similarly frozen, his eyes having completely lost focus. Fatty stepped forward leisurely. He extended 2 fingers and pinched the Martial Academy jade token hanging at He Zheng's waist. A trace of instinctive resistance lingered in He Zheng's fingertips, trembling faintly, yet it could not withstand the erosion of that uncanny power. With a slight increase in force from Fatty, the jade token fell into his palm. He Zheng, Fatty flipped the token over, reading the name. A grin cracked his face. Done. From this day forward, I, Peng Yi, will just go by this name. 5 days slipped by in a flash. Within the celestial chamber, Kael sat cross-legged, an almost imperceptible, strange medicinal fragrance hung in the air. Mingled with exceptionally pure spiritual energy, it slowly flowed into his body with each breath. Utter ease, mind and body both. The exhaustion of relentless travel and blood, soaked battle swept clean, rinsed away like old stains. Lingering wounds drank deep of spiritual energy and medicinal fire, flesh and sinew knitting, bone mending in a surge of gentle heat. Every pore yawned wide, greedy, feasting on the bounty of this treasured ground. His true Kai rolled like a great river, surging without obstacle, crashing against the hidden gates within his form. Plop! A sound barely there, a whisper inside his body, an obstructed meridian node forced open as though it were nothing. Then it became a chain, a cascade of internal chimes. Pop, pop, pop. When the 31st acupoint blazed alight, saturated with true Kai, radiating brilliant light, Kael's robes stirred without wind. A mightier aura unfurled from his frame. Meridian opening realm, 2nd tier. His eyes opened slowly. In those depths, a thread of piercing, cold, bright light flickered, lightning trapped in dark water. Then it vanished, sheathed utterly. Beside him, Folly roused from cultivation, her small face burned with color. Young master, I broke through again. Kai condensation realm, 4th tier, middle stage. Kael's gaze sharpened, brightened. A grin broke through as he reached out, ruffling her hair. Good, Folly is a true genius. This young master clearly needs to work harder. Her eyes narrowed, a cat basking in a stroke, and she nodded hard. When I'm stronger, I'll protect you. His grin faltered, warmth and resolve tangled in his heart. A strange and fierce alloy. He turned his stare to the door, gaze piercing stone and wood as if it could cut through the world itself. Injuries healed, cultivation advanced, no time to waste. The treasure vault pavilion awaited. He needed to exchange his gathered materials for cultivation resources. And the search for soul-mending spirit medicines that could not be delayed by a single breath. Folly still meditated. He did not disturb her. Soundlessly, he dissolved the chamber wards and stepped outside. Kai and Liu came forward to receive him. When she spoke of the treasure vault pavilion, regret clouded her features. If our Murong family kept a shop here, with Brother Gu's standing, you'd certainly pay only half. Kael's mind flickered. He opened his mouth to probe deeper. Kai and Liu's voice dropped to a hiss. That broken, sword man from 2 days past, though he was wounded by manager Murong Chuan, I fear he will not swallow this grievance. Brother Gu, outside this courtyard, you must walk with absolute caution. Thank you for this warning. Frost crept down Kael's spine, but no impulse to cower followed. If the man courted death with stubborn foolishness, then calling upon manager Murong Chuan's blade would be no burden at all. The main street hummed with gossip, murmurs of Nero Li's humiliation dripped from every teast, awl and doorway. Kael walked with poised wariness. He rounded a corner, into an alley. And without warning, a blade of cold malice stabbed through his spiritual perception. The air clenched, frozen solid, as though an invisible fist had seized the entire alleyway. A middle-aged man sliced into view, a phantom given form. In his grip dangled a rogue cultivator, held by the throat. The man's head lolled at a grotesque angle, mere breaths from snapping. His splintered lips still twitched with vestigial terror. Kael's hairs stood rigid, his pupils shrank to pinpricks. The man's face, those features bore a 70% echo of the youth who had died beneath his sword days ago. It's him, the rogue cultivator, his windpipe a mere thread of air, forced out his final words in a quavering rasp. The middle-aged man flung the ruined body aside like a rag. His eyes found Kael dark with savagery, raw and absolute. In the next heartbeat, his aura detonated, essence gathering realm no, far, far above it. No words wasted. A hand lashed forward. Thunder split the long street. Fragments of bluestone shot like crossbow bolts from the seams of the flagstones. Roof tiles on both flanks convulsed, slid, shattered to powder midair. In Kael's sight, that palm swelled with monstrous speed. The shadow of death descended, swallowing everything. In the splinter of a lightning flash, his longsword sang free and swung to block. Clang! Metal upon metal erupted, a bronze bell cracking open, the blade buckled. Visible ripples streaked along its spine as a brutal, tyrannical force flooded through his arms, crashed into his organs. An avalanche of raw, senseless power, crack. The muffled percussion of ribs collapsing tangled with the sword's shriek. A plume of crimson mist burst from the back of his robes. His body rocketed backward, a kite with its string severed, trailing a ribbon of blood before slamming onto the bluestone, gouging a shallow trench as he skidded. The street dropped into a death hush.
Are you dead?
One blow from Instructor Yu Hua. What? You expect him to live? Then a voice strangled. He's getting up.
A wet cough.
Kael drove his sword against the ground, dragged himself upright, swaying. Blood snaked down the blade in rivulets. Who could count how many bones had snapped inside him? But those eyes glaring through the mask of gore burned with a light that was almost unholy, the final glint of a dying beast's stare. Instructor Yu Hua closed in, expressionless, each boot, fall over shattered tiles ground dust into the air. The youth you killed was the last male heir of my Yu family. His voice fouled the air, dark and thick, as though dripping with corpse fluid. You pay with your life. Kael lifted a hand, wiped the blood froth from his lips, careless, grinning. He tried to end me. I ended him. Are you stupid? Fine, Instructor Yu Hua nodded. Today you die here. He raised his palm. Spiritual power surged. A pale corona of light condensed around his body. The air compressed beneath a droning weight. Kael's stare snapped past Yu Hua's shoulder. He hauled in a ragged breath and bellowed into the void behind the man. Manager, Murong River, you've come. The roar raked across the long street, hoarse and cracked as a split gong. Those 3 syllables, Murong River, struck Yu Hua like a bucket of ice, water. The muscles of his neck seized rock hard. His spiritual flow hiccuped, rattled with chaotic tremor. He whipped his head around. Nothing. Behind him was nothing, not even a stray bird. When he spun back, Kael had already dissolved into a blur of desperate motion, fleeing over the scattered stones. Each stride powdered rubble to dust beneath his feet. A tattered banner of blood, tinged wind, trailed in his wake. The onlookers stood stupefied. He actually ran. What of a battle to the death? Run. Yu Hua's face was iron. Cold, his figure flickered, he gave chase. Kael's organs burned. A furnace had lit inside him, bones broken beyond count, but by some shard of fortune, his meridians held intact. Kai still flowed. Yet every pulse of power savaged his wounds deeper, wilder. He ran, retched blood as he ran. The scarlet thread from his lips stretched into a straight line on the wind. By now, the chaos had drawn a tide of spectators. A round, rolling shadow butted through the crowd, Fatty's eyes lit with glee, his chubby flesh shuddered as he left every onlooker in his dust, barreling toward the disturbance with shocking speed. From ahead, a voice shouted gleeful and mocking. Yo, bro, it's only been a few days. How'd you get so ragged? Kael's gaze snagged on that flagrantly conspicuous figure, arms folded, grinning wide. Fatty, Kael suddenly roared, a sound that seemed to set the roof tiles thrumming for half a street. That business got exposed. Run. Instructor Yu Hua's killing glare snapped sideways, locked onto the fat young man. The grin froze. The hell. You had a hand in killing my nephew too. Don't you listen to his manure. I, Pangy, don't even know. Not a word of explanation. Kael's voice hammered back. Someone saw us do the deed. Fatty's heart plunged into Arctic waters. He wanted to slap himself raw. Watching the spectacle was one thing. Why did he have to provoke this black-hearted bastard? Instructor Yu Hua no longer heard denials. His form vaulted forward. A palm wrapped in spiritual light drove straight for Fatty's chest. Fatty's teeth clenched, his flesh quaked, spiritual power erupted. A pale golden sheen surfaced over his body as if cast from bronze and tempered from iron. The palm blow slammed into him with a thunderous boom spraying fractured gold light. Fatty screamed, catapulted backward. His corpulent form cratered the blue brick, bounced twice, and came to rest. And in the very next instant, he sprang upright with a flawless keep-up. As if nothing had happened, without a backward glance, he shot away, hot on Kael's heels. The crowd was dazed anew. Another one didn't die, and he ran with such vigor. Instructor Yuhua's face had turned so foul it seemed on the verge of oozing ink. First Kael, now this fatty. Not only were they still alive, each ran faster than the last. Fatty sprinted, cursing with a savage fury. You bastard, have you not a shred of conscience? Conscience, my ass. Kael's icy voice floated back. You shouldn't have laughed at me. Fatty's jowls trembled with rage. So many people watching, so many, and you pick me. Pang Yi, why? Why do you think? Because we did that job together, obviously. Can't drag innocence into this. Innocent my foot, you black-hearted dog, spawned son of a... The curse was just climbing to its crescendo when an unnatural chill seeped into the back of Fatty's neck. A killing intent marrow, deep locked onto his spine. Instructor Yuhua was less than a dozen yards behind. The wind screamed. Instructor Yuhua thrust out his palm. Cultivation flooded his right arm like a burst dam. The center of his hand blazed, a blinding orb of spiritual radiance. As though he clutched a miniature sun, shop banners on either side snapped ruler, straight from the shockwave. The air howled like tearing silk. A palm strike hammered toward Fatty's spine, solid, heavy, inescapable. Fatty spat a curse, teeth grinding. He planted his feet, pivoting his bulk with a sudden, coiled tension. The flesh across his frame clamped down. A blaze of golden radiance erupted from beneath his skin, blinding as a constellation igniting at once. His eyes shot blood, red, and he bellowed, "Brother, go." I'll hold him off, hurling his mass forward into Instructor Yuhua's devastating blow. A thunderous crack split the air. The strike tore through him. Fatty's chest robes disintegrated, leaving a scorched ruin. A crimson spray fountained from his lips. His massive form, hundreds of jin, slammed sidelong like a shattered millstone, bouncing off the flagstones, rolling, skidding. Once, twice, then a half. Foot rebound before crashing down to gouge a shallow crater. The golden light guttered out. His face turned to ash, motionless. The wind died. Only a veil of lifted dust drifted gently back to the ground. Kael's ribs constricted. Fatty, the name scraped his throat. His legs slowed. Guilt spiked through his chest. A cold, twisting blade. He had planned to use the man's shield. Nothing more, not this. No respite. Instructor Yuhua closed the distance in 3 long strides, his silhouette bleeding murder. Nowhere left to run. Kael's sword hand clenched white. Just then, a dozen yards distant, the corpse twitched. Eyes snapped wide. Abdominal muscles seized. With an explosive keep-up, Fatty launched upright. The ground shuddered, stone shards spitting from his heels. His round silhouette blurred into a wobbling streak, whooshing into motion. Kael's pupils contracted. Fatty, you're alive. He tasted the bitter froth on his own lips, a twitch of disbelief. A smug cackle echoed from the distance. Obviously, plenty have tried to kill Pang Yi. None were worthy. Even as his distance grew, he twisted his neck back. You scoundrel dared to trick Pang Yi. Your plot backfired. I'll be waiting to see your corpse, wahahaha. The laughter faded down the lane. Kael tracked the dwindling form, the iron band around his chest easing at last. Alive, that was sufficient. Instructor Yuhua's complexion curdled to a livid green. Damn you, his aura detonated. 6. Dear spirit, profound realm pressure swirled the fallen leaves into a screaming vortex, the killing intent so dense it clung to the skin like oil. The force shoved Kael back 2 paces, but his sword arm never wavered. He channeled his spiritual power in a torrent into the broken blade. A 3-inch sword aura kindled at the tip, cold, keen, mirroring the steel in his gaze. The weapon keened, overstressed, scenting the death match. He advanced, first you, then the fat one. Neither leaves this ground. Kael held his stare quiet, his spirit marshaled to a razor's edge. Then his focus fractured. From the alley's far end, 2 shapes resolved. Kael's face froze. Steward Lai, you returned. Instructor Yuhua's grin split his face, and he lunged, palm wreathed in oppressive force. You think I'd fall for that twice, brat? A withered palm speared in from the side, intercepting the blow with a sound like tearing silk. Spiritual power, viper, supple, burrowed into Yuhua's meridians. His fleshy palm split with bloody striations, the air compressing into a visible shock ring. Flagstones crackled, webbing with fissures. Yuhua hurtled back a dozen yards, heels gouging trenches in the stone, the taste of blood coppery on his tongue. Old wounds wakened, venomous power forced a mouthful of blood, droplets hissing into green smoke where they hit the ground. A sharp scoff cut the air, calling us a worthless fart. Then what does that make you? Vic head steward, Yuhu as glare nailed the stooped figure. Steward lies robes fanned out in a windless stir, a chill pressure flooding the alley like meltwater, icing the air until onlookers' scalps tingled. It's truly you. Lie's sneer was a blade. After we've only been gone a short while, you've already forgotten us. That boy, Instructor Yuhua, cast a malevolent glance at Kael. What connection does he have to you? And what right have you to question us? Yuhua forced down fury, chest heaving. A new voice cut in. Calm, Regal. Do you know that Brother Gu saved my life? The 7th Prince Zhongfeng strode up, stationing himself beside Kael. Yuhua's heart plummeted. The kill was now beyond reach. Lai gave a contemptuous snort. Insolent, you failed to greet His Highness properly. Yuhua's teeth clenched, but he forced a fist. Palm salute. Greetings, Your Highness HM. His eyes narrowed. This was not the death, marked prince of months past. The ashen aura had cleared. Spiritual energy now coiled faintly through Zhongfeng's form. The 7th prince had awakened his cultivation. Zhongfeng's face remained impassive. Instructor Yuhua, Brother Gu saved my life. Any strike against him is a strike against me. The consequences you comprehend. A chill slithered down Yuhua's spine. No way out. Lai's cold laughter sliced. Deaf, His Highness is addressing you. Yuhua's jaw worked. Yes, he swept a final, probing stare over Kael, a promise of future reckoning, then turned. The muscles of his back rippled with suppressed violence, knuckles cracked white. Each retreating step etched a fresh crack into the stone. Kael read the oath in that retreating spine. This grudge would drown oceans. Zhongfeng's brow furrowed at the blood. Brother Gu, are you injured? Nothing, just superficial wounds. That's a relief. The prince's voice still held a tremor. If Steward Lai and I hadn't returned just in time, today would have ended in true disaster. Kael clasped a fist toward the steward. Steward Lai, many thanks for your intervention. Tusk, hearing thanks from you is no easy matter, Lai teased dryly. Kael chuckled. Is that so? Then I take it back. Zhongfeng, seeing the bickering spark anew, inwardly winced and steered hastily. Speaking of which, where is that young lady Folly? She's at the inn. She didn't come out with me. And that friend of yours? Kael blinked. Friend? What friend? I think a Fatty. A secluded corner. Fatty's face was corpse, pale, his swagger shattered. He stumbled, every step a wince. Hiss, it hurts Pang Yi to death. I'll repay that poem someday, Arg. That cursed Kael every meeting brings worse calamity. If Pang Yi hadn't kept a few tricks. His expression suddenly warped. Fragmented mutters spilled from his lips. The old man said it. Manner originated tribulation. Manner originated tribulation. Born from another person. 10 deaths, no survival. Could it be that vile star really is Pang Yi's manner originated tribulation? After hearing Kael's succinct account of the recent conflict, the 7th prince fell utterly speechless. He found a sudden, unexpected sympathy for that never-met Fatty, sir. Surviving such ruthless misfortune required truly freakish luck. Steward Lai's gaze sharpened beside him, a silent vow forming. Keep His Highness far from this calamitous youth, lest destruction leak by proximity. Kael shook his head. Let's not talk about him. That man just now, he's an instructor at Valorhall. Correct, he's called Nero Ya, 7th tier of the spirit profound realm. Zhongfeng's tone grew careful. Brother Gu, how exactly did your enmity with him start, for him to chase you through the streets seeking your life? Kael's eyes narrowed. It was my first time meeting him, too. He gave a rough recounting of killing Instructor Yuhua's nephew outside the city and the trouble with Fatty, glossing over the secrets of the token of Murong Yan. The 7th prince and Steward Lai listened in stunned silence. In a single month, Kael had endured perils beyond anything they had ever heard. At last Lai spoke, voice somber. His name is Nero Ya. His clan has never been large. You killed his nephew outside the city. No wonder he's sworn to hunt you to the death. 7th Prince Zhongfeng sighed. Valorhall has its own laws. A mere instructor would not dare act openly against you. As long as Brother Gu stays with me after entering Valorhall, nothing will happen. Steward Lai's knuckles whitened around his fan. He blurted, Your Highness, reconsider. Kael's eyes widened. You're going too. Your cultivation, you've opened your meridians. Zhongfeng gave a slow nod. Indeed, that technique you gave me resonates deeply with my body. With years of accumulated cold Kai, swift progress was inevitable. His expression dimmed, voice dropping to a murmur. It was my late mother's wish that I enter Valorhall to train, to one day join the Ascendant sect. Now the chance is here, but she will not witness it. Steward, Lai's tone softened, a gentle balm. Your Highness now possesses a unique constitution and a heaven. Rank technique. Your future is limitless. Her spirit in the underworld would surely find peace. Zhongfeng let out a self-mocking laugh. Valued? With my eldest brother around, how could they ever value me? Kael's gaze sharpened. Your eldest brother. Who is he? Jiang Feng's face twisted, a mix of pride and resentment flickering in his eyes. He was born with an innate fire spirit body. Years ago, an elder of the Ascendant sect took him as a disciple. He is hailed as the #1 prodigy of the younger generation in all of Great Kai. Kael arched one brow. #1, I wonder if he actually has the skill to back that up. Steward Lai cut in, his voice dropping to a conspiratorial whisper. Skill aside, do you know that the first prince holds another identity? Kael's brows snapped together. Cousin, Nero Liat is the first prince's blood cousin. Steward Lai sneered, his lip curling, forced to kneel before a crowd in broad daylight. You think that grudge isn't enough to stir his highness? Jiang Feng coughed, his face flushing crimson. That I only truly a vile creature. At the time I was merely... Steward Lai's eyes crinkled with mirth. Appreciating, your highness, that was mere appreciation. Kael and the steward exchanged a rare look of mutual disdain. They snorted in unison. Meanwhile, Valorhall had yet to open its gates. The flagstone path lay empty and deathly still. A hunched menial swept his broom. Dead leaves should have lifted with each stroke. But the moment Instructor Yu Hua strode onto the academy grounds, the leaves froze in midair. The very atmosphere choked under a venomous pressure. The menial's clouded eyes rolled slowly, his broom hung suspended. A rasping whisper scraped from his throat. A heart full of resentment will not carry you far. Instructor Yu Hua had already passed, deaf to the warning, swathed in darkness, his mind fixed on a single name.
Kael?
Brother Yu. Instructor Jiang darted from behind a pillar, seizing Yu Hua's arm and dragging him into the shadows against the wall. A blade of light cut across Yu Hua's face, cleaving it at the eaves, leaving only twin embers of hate leaping in his eyes. He ground his teeth and spilled the story. With the 7th prince interfering, this vengeance. Instructor Jiang leaned close, voice a mere thread. Pay respects to the first prince. He needs men to take control of Valorhall, borrow his influence, and revenge becomes effortless. The flame in Yu Hua's eyes roared to life. In the great hall of the first prince's manor, the air lay stifling and dry. Light shimmered and warped around Brand. His hair and brows flickered like flames, an intangible blaze rippling about his form. Ione stood before him, fine sweat beading at her temples. Her cheeks flushed, her voice trembled. I can truly enter the Ascendant sect. With my master's word, it is merely accepting one more person. Brand's gaze dropped to her fingers, twisting the hem of her clothes. His smile remained untroubled. Nero Liat stood aside, his throat burning as if stuffed with hot coals. He watched Ione's eyes blaze bright. Even swallowing turned bitter. He crushed the sour jealousy on the back of his tongue. His voice came out strangled. Cousin, that Kael. Brand waved a dismissive hand. Once Valorhall opens, I will naturally teach him a lesson. A servant hurried in, bowing low. Your Highness, Valorhall instructors Nero Ya and Ember request an audience. Brand's irritation flickered away, replaced by a sudden smile. The candle flames in the hall leaned toward him in unison, stretching tall. Light and shadow draped his face. He uttered low, let them in. Inside the celestial chamber, spiritual energy hung like gossamer mist. Kael's shoulder wound was rapidly scabbing over. The itch mingled with the lingering tang of blood, stark in the silence. He raised his eyes to Murong River, who had materialized without warning. Senior, I have a request. Murong River stood with hands clasped behind his back, waiting. Kael's voice was steady, but his knuckles whitened. If I am not here, I beg you to look after her for me. Murong River's gaze fell like a physical weight upon Folly's tightly shut door. The air in the inn seemed to pause. His voice came out measured. This girl, is she that important to you? Kael's answer came without hesitation, more than my own life. A brief silence settled, then Murong River laughed, a sudden, booming sound. Rest assured, so long as she remains within this inn, not even the Heavenly King himself could touch a single hair on her head. This is my personal promise. No need for... Token of Murong Yan? Kael bowed solemnly. Many thanks, Senior. I will remember this debt. Murong River waved it off as nothing. He had no inkling just how heavy Kael's debt would one day become. Rumors of the assassination had spread through the tea-houses and taverns of the imperial capital like wildfire. Yet not a single shred of truth could be found. Some whispered the youth had been crushed to paste beneath Instructor Yu Hua's palm. Others swore he had used Fatty as a shield and fled into the wildwood. But all that noise ground to an abrupt halt at another explosive piece of news. The innate fire spirit body, Great Kai's foremost genius, the first Prince Brand, was coming to Valorhall. The day Valorhall opened its gates, morning light washed over the century, old stone steps casting a cold gleam. Folly's small face was pale. Young master, your wounds? Kael suppressed the dull ache pulsing deep in his wound. He ruffled her hair. It is nothing. Focus on your cultivation. Once I return, I will take you out for roasted chicken legs. Folly did not answer. She stared blankly at his retreating figure. The moment the door clicked shut, her fists clenched. A flicker of dark light flashed through her eyes. She whispered, "Young master, I will definitely help you." Outside Valorhall, the broad bluestone avenue stretched several zhang wide, swarming with people. Longing and envious gazes wove together like a net. By the time Kael arrived, the crowd had barricaded the gate so tightly not a drop of water could slip through. He braced to shove his way in. A familiar voice exploded. "Make way for Pang Yi." It was Fatty. Relying on sheer bulk, he plowed through recklessly. Passers-by cursed. Damn Fatty, rushing off to reincarnate or what? Fatty turned a deaf ear and squeezed to the very front, then suddenly caught sight of Kael. The fat on his face froze. His pupils constricted as if he had seen a ghost at noon.
Kael greeted. "Fatty, we meet again."
Fatty's voice tightened. You're not dead." "Nonsense. Of course not." Fatty asked cautiously, "You're here for Valorhall too?"
Naturally. Kael flashed his jade token. "You bolted pretty fast that day. Almost got me killed."
"You still have the nerve to bring that up." Fatty erupted in fury. Then he seemed to recall something. He forcefully swallowed the rest of his words, eyes darting away evasively. He did not press further. He turned, parted the crowd, shoved his jade token into a guard's hand, and scurried through the gate like a fleeing rat. Kael's brow furrowed. Had Fatty's temperament truly changed? He did not dwell on it. After verifying his jade token, he stepped across Valorhall's heavy threshold. The bronze bosses gleamed with a dark, gold luster under the sunlight. Sand gritted beneath his soles with a soft SHSH sound. Brother Gu, 7th Prince Zhongfeng, had already stepped forward to welcome him. They exchanged brief pleasantries before Zhongfeng explained the rules for selecting an instructor. A directive left by the founding ancestor himself. Students may choose their own instructor, and instructors may also choose their students. Brother Gu, have you decided whom to pick? Kael's lips curved into a sudden smile. What if I chose Instructor Yu Hua? What would happen then? Jiang Feng's heart jolted. You cannot be serious. Kael patted him on the shoulder. Relax, I was only jesting. Whichever instructor I pick makes no difference to me.